Hello and welcome to the Downsized Dish. My name is Laraine Durham, and this is our weekly series where we talk to people who have lost weight with a GLP-1 medication like Wegovy, Ozempic, Mounjaro, Zep-Bound, tirzepatide, semaglutide, all those. I've lost over 50 pounds on tirzepatide, and this show is just my effort to try to talk to more people and see how their journey is going and try to learn something along the way. Just a reminder, I'm not a doctor and this is not medical advice. Please consult your doctor or healthcare professional before starting any new weight loss plan or treatment. And before we get started, I also want to say to please like and subscribe to The Downsized. We bring you news, interviews, and lots more every week. Okay, all right. I'd like to introduce our guest for today. Her name is Karen Johnson. Welcome, Karen.
Hi, nice to be here.
Awesome. Karen, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I live in New York. I live in the Hudson Valley. I live just south of Rhinebeck, New York. Some people know where that is, in Statsburg. And I am 58 years old. I have worked in, I've been a legal assistant paralegal for now a really long time, almost 40 years. And next year will be 40 years. Yeah. And in the last year, actually, I'm coming up on a year after 35 years of being in one firm, I switched jobs. So another law firm, but that's what I do. I am married. Now we got married during COVID to my husband, Kelvin. And I have one stepdaughter who made me a mom at 19 when I met her dad, and she was 7. And I have my daughter, and I have 4 grandchildren. And my husband has now 5. So between the two of us, we have 9. 5 are in Texas and 4 are up here with me.
Very nice. Very nice. So it's kind of spread out between Texas and New York, I guess.
Yes, I'll be making my first trip to Texas in May, and I'll be meeting the third of his daughters, which I did not meet all of them yet after this time. But yeah, and then I'll be meeting my grandchildren. The newest grandbaby is just 2 months old, so that's why we're making the trip down.
Oh, yay. We're looking forward to our grandchildren someday, way in the future.
They're amazing.
not too far, I hope. Well, Karen, tell us about your weight loss journey. Which medication are you on?
I am taking Zep-Bound, and I started on December 12th of 2024. And that's what I'm now at 10 milligrams.
Okay.
Dosing.
So that's about, let's see, December, January, February, so about 3 months. How's your weight loss going? How much have you lost?
Actually, on Zep-Bound, I did not start losing until week 12.
Oh, wow.
So I felt a lot of the benefits and things that you're looking for, like appetite suppression and the quieting of food noise, I have to say, probably came within the first week or 2. Definitely. But also, as we were talking about my journey, I'm also a bariatric patient. I had a vertical sleeve gastrectomy on March 15th of 2023. So I just celebrated 2 years.
Oh, wow.
That.
Okay.
So I contribute possibly. I've always been a slow loser. And even with the bariatric surgery, I was a slow loser. And I would have to say that I have a feeling I contribute my slow loss because I started this journey on Zep-Bound not very far from my goal weight.
Okay.
So, but once I hit the 12-week mark, because I follow up monthly with my metabolic weight loss provider. And so they take all the data from me. And so I'm down about 9 pounds. So, but for me now, I am in my range of maintenance. So,
that's great.
This morning when I weighed in, I'm 5'10", and this morning I weighed in at 186. So my goal is to stay somewhere. If I float in the 180s and stay there for the rest of my life, I would not be extremely disappointed.
Yeah. Okay, you're tall. I'm
Yes.
jealous of your 5'10" height.
But I
um,
commiserate with you because they marked me at 5'9 1/4" a bit ago, and I took quite offense at that. So when I
yeah,
stand to get measured at the doctor now, I make sure I stand very, very tall, ground my feet, extend my neck, and do anything I can to maintain my 5'10" stature.
yeah, they want to take that height away from us. You gotta check them. So, how much weight did you lose with the sleeve procedure?
With the sleeve procedure, I am a total now of 76 pounds down from my not my highest weight ever, but from my weight when I started. When I started the um, gastric bypass, my surgery plan, I was 261.
Okay,
And at my highest weight in my life that I recorded was 312. And
312. Wow.
after the passing of my first husband, which will be 20 years now coming up this
Oh,
year, I decided I was going to take my health and it was just me, right? Just me in the game with my daughters. And
yeah.
my daughter, Kelsey, was just 11 when her father passed. So it's
Oh,
like, I'm the
I'm
only
sorry.
game in town, right? So
Yeah.
we needed to get serious about some things. So I had hired a personal trainer and seriously started a weight loss journey
Yeah,
at
I
that
think we
point.
have a picture of you at your highest and a picture of you recently. So, the before picture, is that you at your highest?
That was probably at my highest, maybe even a little higher than 312, but definitely at my highest. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and I spent
Yeah.
a lot of years at that weight.
Yeah. And the after picture, when was that taken?
2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
so that one's really probably pretty recent. And I kid about that picture. I said I probably should have smiled, but the gym kind of frowns a little bit on the cameras being out taking pictures, so I kind of like snuck it.
Well, you look like a tough, don't mess with me kind of lady. So I think that works. But yeah, congratulations on your weight loss. Just in total, it's an amazing um, transformation. So uh, that's awesome. And tell me about these pictures.
Well, these pictures, the one in the blue dress and the handsome man with the cowboy hat, that's my wedding. So that
Nice.
was August of 2020. And at that point, I was probably just about, if I remember correctly, I was like 248 in that picture. I remember when I got
Okay.
my wedding dress. So I had yo-yoed back and forth quite a bit. But after 14 years of being widowed and meeting a man who is a truck driver and used to driving all around eating whatever, once I once I fell into that realm, that's how I ended up floating. And then COVID didn't help and the gym shutting down. That's when I
Right.
found myself floating back to 261. And I said, oh no, we need
Got
to,
to bring that
we need to stop.
back
I
down.
always swore I would never go back up to 312, right?
Yeah. Yeah. COVID was not a friend to any of us with trying to lose weight for sure.
Yeah.
And this looks like a Christmas time picture.
This was this past Christmas. Yeah, so I was probably at that weight. Well, that's when I had just started the GLP. So I was probably about 195 there
Yeah. Okay.
ish in that
Yep.
picture. And then the other picture next to it is probably around in January of this year when I had always wanted a pair of overalls, and they're a pair of Levi overalls. And I was in the department store and I found a pair and I put them on and they fit. And I said, I don't care what they cost, they're coming home with me.
That's great. There's always that one clothing item that, like, for me, it was a certain brand of jeans. I always wanted to wear them, and so it's so great when you can pick up something like that and it fits, and you can feel so good about your progress. That's awesome.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, great. Let's see. How I want to talk about, you had lost a pretty good amount of weight with the bariatric surgery, and then you decided to go over to the Zep-Bound. Um, and I guess what I'm trying to figure out is how did you stick with it for 12 weeks with no loss? Did you get frustrated there? Did your doctor really encourage you? I'm interested in that process.
Yeah, well, my doctor had really encouraged me. I mean, if I can back it up a little bit, I lost the majority of, well, first of all, 10 years ago, I lost 127 pounds on my own.
Oh, wow.
And I decided
Wow.
to go back to school. I have a degree in exercise science and I have my personal training certification. And then life ticked, right? I got a little older. Some thyroid issues came in, Hashimoto's came in,
Uh,
um, meeting my husband came in. Um, COVID, I had maintained my weight after my lowest loss down to like 183. I floated back up into my 220s and I stayed there for about 5 or 6 years.
mhm.
Still always was in the gym, always was trying to get that weight off, right? And it just like no matter what I did, no matter how I ate, whether it was paleo, whether it was keto, whether it was Weight Watchers, which I did for years, I just couldn't force myself back down. And I was in that place of being mentally not in a good place. I was so
Yeah.
obsessed about everything I ate, everything I drank, every place. It was like I didn't lose all this weight to be this neurotic about this, right?
Right.
And so then fast forward, all these other medical things come in, age, menopause, all these lovely things come in. And that's when I found myself up. So in the summer of 2021, I said, okay, I need to look into bariatric surgery. I'd known a couple people who had had it. And I fought for like a year and a half because I could not lose the 5% that my insurance company required that I lose. So
Oh,
it was
wow.
a matter of 13 pounds that it seemed like no matter what I was doing, I had a hard time. And so finally, then I had kind of stopped a while, was focusing on working on my Hashimoto's and my thyroid issues because I said, if those things aren't right, it doesn't matter how much I diet, we're not going to get this
Yeah.
fixed, right?
Yeah.
So finally, in that December of that year of 2021, I said, okay, I'm going back to the doctor. We're going to redo. I kind of like white knuckled it. And the week that I actually lost my 13 pounds, my insurance company did not have the requirement to lose 13 pounds any longer. So I was approved. And so I was like, okay, now I'm approved. Like I've been fighting for this for like a year and a half. I'm like, now I'm approved. So it's like, stay focused on what I got to do. Right.
Yeah.
So March came, I had my surgery. My surgery was completely without any issues. I have never vomited. I have never had pain. I have none of that. I take
Yeah.
all of my vitamins. Like one of the things I said to my doctor was, I said, I don't want to be looking like I'm a walking dead when everything is said and done with this. And I've seen people, they don't look well. They may be thin, but they don't look well. And I
Yeah.
said, that's really, really important to me. So I'm the kind of gal, having done Weight Watchers for years. I mean, I've heard your story. You're kind of a bit, it's like when you tell me something to do, we're going to kind of like follow the letter of the law.
Yeah.
And so I lost the majority of my weight by September. So within 6 months, I had lost, I was floating around 55 pounds ish or so.
Uh-huh.
6 months into the journey. So then the year mark came and I had lost maybe 2 pounds after the surgery. And again, percentage wise, I was considered a success because in the bariatric world, if you lose between 65 and 80% of your excess weight and maintain that off, you're considered a success.
Okay.
So I was in that realm of being considered successful for weight loss surgery. So in March, I decided to, because I knew again, metabolically, things happen to you when you have surgery. A lot of what mimics the GLP-1, you lose your appetite, you lose the cravings and all, but those things come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they were coming back.
Oh.
And so I decided to speak with our metabolic weight loss team, which is separate from the surgical team, and discuss options of medication.
Yeah.
And because I was not diabetic, the avenue of the GLP-1s was not open to me at that time because I wasn't diabetic. I had other comorbidities, but I wasn't diabetic. And that was in 2024, the spring of 2024. So a lot of the changes were still going on from the things I'm hearing too about getting approvals and what was approved and how this is moving along. So they put me on metformin to start with. And then as I approached 18 months in that September, they put me on Topamax to couple with it at a max dose of metformin. And I was getting appetite suppression. And I was getting a quieting of food noise. But unfortunately, I also developed terrible diarrhea that just would not stop. It wouldn't, no matter what I ate or how I changed, it wouldn't stop. And a metallic taste in my mouth, because Topamax can change your taste for things. I couldn't drink coffee anymore. And I just had this awful taste in my mouth that it wouldn't go away. So I decided to speak to the doctor again. And I said, okay, this isn't working for me.
Right.
And I'm really not losing any weight on it. I lost a couple pounds, maybe I was still floating back and forth. And so since I failed the metformin and I failed the Topamax, and some of my health conditions were contraindicative of other types of some of the oral weight loss medications, she decided to try me on the Zep-Bound. And she said, your BMI is only a 27, but it was 27 point something. I forget what it was now, but it was 27 point something.
Yeah.
And she put it through and it was approved like in a day.
Oh, great. That's great.
I started off at the 2.5, but that's kind of my journey of where that went. So back to your question of how did I feel after 12 weeks of it not doing anything?
Yeah.
I felt it was doing things. It definitely had controlled the food noise, the feeling fuller, easier, even though I have the restriction from the bariatric surgery. With the GLP-1, it's even intensified. That feature of it has intensified. And I noticed really pretty quickly, a lot of my inflammation from the Hashimoto's and my thyroid issues was like gone.
Oh, wow.
Waking up in the morning with swollen hands and a puffy face and that kind of thing, that was all diminishing.
Oh, great.
I think some of my chronic pain that comes from thyroid issues was diminishing as well. So I was like, and then, like I said, I dove myself into learning everything I could possibly learn about this, because the clickbait and a lot of the mainstream information that's out there is more scary. It's not complete, as I'm learning. It's not thorough. And I wanted to understand what these things do, and I can be very sciencey if I go back to school for it, right? So having a little bit of that background from my exercise science helped me to understand and get really interested in the science behind why it works. I also had lymphocytic colitis, which is an autoimmune disease, which was also once that is like not an issue anymore.
Oh,
that inflammation has gone down. So I think I was pretty patient for the fact that I also did learn that it can take 12 to 16 weeks for some people to see a weight loss. Yeah. So I said, okay, that's also in the information. So I was patient.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad you were seeing other good results besides just the scale with your other health issues, feeling better, less pain, all that. That's great. That's definitely enough to keep you going, right? Yes. Did your provider, I think you said you're at 10 milligrams, so you must have gone up in dose every month, because the provider probably said, well, nothing's happening, let's just keep going.
Well, since I tolerated it very well and we discussed it and the scale wasn't moving, and she'd asked me what I was eating, or how I was moving, what I was doing. And so, yes, each month we went up the next step to the next dosing.
And how much more did you want to lose, or do you want to lose?
Honestly, for me, probably just within the next 5 pounds.
So you're pretty much there, almost there.
Almost there. I also, at this point now, it's also a lot about, things have changed regarding my health numbers. My A1C came down. My LDLs have come down. My HDLs have gone up. My total cholesterol has come down. Those markers are, amazing, because my doctor has it that I can just scroll through each item and it'll give the history, right, of where we were. And that's since my journey starting with the bariatric surgery, those numbers just keep improving and improving.
That's great.
And so, for me to be at a quote normal BMI, that would be 175 pounds. So for me at this point, being at 186, that 10 pounds, honestly, at this point, is going to reflect on what do I look like in the mirror, right? What does my face look like? What does my neck look like? What does other things look like? Because if I start feeling I look like I'm drawn, then I'll stay at like 180, so it's kind of more now. It definitely will be an image thing.
Yeah.
and how I feel I look.
Well, I guess if with your exercise science background, you must tell me about your exercise plan and what you did throughout this journey.
Yeah, for a long time, I mean, I've always in the back of my mind have known that, lift weights, okay, lift weights. But I haven't in the past found that to be the most fun thing to do because I
Mm-hmm.
have been in the gym consistently since 2005. So we're going on 20 years on a consistent basis,
Yeah.
regardless of what my weight was.
Yeah.
And I've always loved group exercise classes, being in with a lot of people, a lot of noise, a lot of music, get in there. They tell you what to do. Bing, bing, an hour, I'm out. Right.
That's me. Yep.
And yeah, so disciplining myself to do the weights has always been my nemesis. But this last couple of months and hearing, which is, I really truly feel it's not necessarily GLP-1 related. It's weight loss related, regardless of how you lose it. Okay.
Yes.
You're going to lose strength and you're going to lose muscle, right? It's
Yeah.
lean mass. It's going to happen. And
Yeah.
since I've tracked so many things, I actually could see in my strength component,
Mm-hmm.
because also too, being on the GLP-1s has given me much more motivation. It's a mental thing. I'm kind of like, I'm wanting to move around more. I'm wanting to do more things. Even
Yeah.
after the weight loss and the bariatric surgery, I'm feeling different now being on the GLP-1s with the motivation of wanting to, right?
Yeah.
Now my run is, since I'm not chasing the scale anymore, I just bought myself a smart scale. And so now I'm going to chase power and strength. I want to see the numbers start changing on my muscle mass. I want to start seeing those things.
Okay.
So right now I'm after power and strength. So when I'm in the gym now, I'm going in, and right now what I'm doing is I'm doing 20 minutes of sprint training on a rower. So
Okay.
I row, I get myself warmed up, I sprint hard, and I only do that for 15, 20 minutes. Then
Mm-hmm.
I'm going now and I'm lifting heavy.
Oh,
I lift heavy. I lift 5 to 7 reps heavy. And so now I'm really focusing on, since I'm learning so much more about the muscle. We got to maintain our muscle. I'm 58, and it's so critical to be able to get up off a floor, to be able to play with your kids, but to do the basic things, carrying the groceries, carry the laundry, not be taken off balance, that I'm getting in my head. I'm getting myself to the place that I'm going into the gym now to with a strict purpose of gaining muscle, as much muscle and strength as I can. So my goals this year, I have a goal this year.
yeah.
That by the time I turn 60, I'm turning 59 at the end of May. So by the time I turn 60, I want
Yeah.
to be able to deadlift my own body weight. I want to be able to dead hang off of a bar with my hands for 1 minute. That's a
Oh, wow.
sign of good grip strength and lump. Yep, just hang there. Right now I'm at 19 seconds, but and then my next goal is, I would like to, by the time I'm 60, I'd like to be able to do a chin up,
Yeah.
even if it's just one.
Yeah, that's a great. I could never do those. In school, we had to do. Did you ever do the presidential physical
Yes,
fitness test and the flex arm
horrible.
hang? I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And it even just and I used to go to a CrossFit gym, and the trainer would like lift me, and I would try to do it. Can't do it. So that's a great. I like that. I should make that one of my goals too.
Yeah,
That's a
so I'm
great goal.
focusing now on my big muscles. Like, that's where I'm really focusing my quads, my hamstrings, my glutes. I'm really focusing on those big muscles when I work out. And
Hmm.
and I'm also working on, not, I mean, I do biceps and triceps, of course, and we have a machine at the gym. It's an assisted dip machine where you set the
Oh,
weight
I see.
and it takes
Mhm.
off that much body weight from you to assist you in the functions of a chin up and
Oh,
dips.
uh-huh.
So right now I'm at 125 pounds. So hopefully we're going to get that down to where it's nothing, right?
Yeah.
But I'm focusing on, because I've been also learning that, the big muscles in your back, the
Mm.
bigger muscles in your chest, they're the good ones to really work on. So
Hmm.
I'm like, okay. So I'm starting off, at first I was uh, for a deadlift, you got to make sure you're in good form, right? And I mean, I know these things because I do have my personal training certification. I'd gone back to school actually to have a career when I retire. So I'm not training people right now, but I do know how to do it.
Yeah.
But one of the things was to get the movement pattern down, because if you don't do it right, you can hurt yourself, right? So
Yeah.
I'm in the gym for a couple of weeks with a dowel across my back and making sure that my head, my shoulders, and my backside all stay equal. And you dip like that little bird that would, when we were kids, that little bird that would dip.
Yeah.
Well, I want
Yeah.
to dip over and have nothing leave the bar, right? I don't want my head to
Oh,
drop. I want that straight. So yeah, so I wanted to work on my movement pattern before
yeah.
I started lifting the weight, right? Because
Okay.
I'm getting older. Don't want to throw out a back. Don't want to throw a disc or anything.
So when you
So
do a deadlift, you go, that's the straight motion you're talking about, right?
yeah, so when you're doing a deadlift, I mean, basically you have your feet shoulder width apart, or you can do a sumo deadlift with them farther apart, but the basic is shoulder width apart. And you kind of stick your tush back just like you're doing a squat. But when
Yeah.
you're bending over, that all stays in one plane. And you
Oh,
grab your bar, and then when you stand up, it all stays in one plane and you thrust your hips forward, right? And then when you go back down, so you don't have any of the rounding and different things going on.
oh,
But I said to myself, okay, I'm going to be wise and train myself on the movement pattern before I actually start lifting the weight.
yeah. Great
So
idea.
right
Great
now
idea.
I'm just lifting a 40-pound kettlebell, because when I get in
Okay.
that position and go down, the top of the handle of that kettlebell is like right in the right place for me to grab it and then
Yeah.
bring it up. So yeah, I think
Cool.
deadlift, even when I was in school, I had one of my professors, she was fabulous. And it's like, she goes, if a deadlift can't cure it, nothing can. So
That's great. Um, so how are you measuring? Like you said you had the scale that measured muscle mass and the things. Are you looking at the muscle weight in the skeletal muscle pounds? Like which measure on that scale are you looking? Because I never know if I'm supposed to look at muscle percent or muscle mass or weight of muscle in pounds. Like which one are you looking at?
I think I took some of the numbers and I did go online and I kind of Googled like what are good numbers for our age group and different things
Okay.
like that. So I was trying to see like what percentages and what numbers were, where am I out of the range? Where could I work?
Yeah.
And I think overall, as time goes by, and because I just got the scale, I kind of just want to watch the changes,
Just
right?
see the trend.
Yeah,
Hopefully
and see a
go up.
trend and see those numbers change and
Yeah.
see, the lean mass, see that change. The visceral fat number isn't that bad right now. And I'm kind of just learning it. I've just got it. So I haven't used one of those before.
Gotcha.
But I thought it would be valuable if I'm not really the scale can only do one thing. It measures how much you weigh
Right.
every week, every day, every week, or however much you weigh. It doesn't tell you, the new ones do now. That's why I got one. But you can
Yeah.
start seeing other measures, right? Um,
Right.
because I also full well know that as I go through this process, body composition is going to change and
Yeah.
looks are going to change, but my scale might creep up a little bit as the muscle starts to change. So
Yeah.
I think the other statistical numbers, whether on the ones that we buy for home, how accurate, they have to be accurate enough to be able to record a change, right?
Right.
They may
Yeah.
not be as good as a DEXA scan or something
Yeah.
like that. But for me, I want to start seeing some change.
Yeah. Have you ever
And
thought
I'm
about a
off.
DEXA scan?
Hmm?
Have you ever had a DEXA scan? I haven't. I was just curious.
No, I haven't. And I think maybe in the next year or so, when I have one of my physicals, because it also measures your bone density, and I haven't had one of those in a long time. So it does do a
Oh,
lot of things in
yeah.
addition to. So I'm probably due to get the one that does your bones, look, and
Yeah.
they'll look at all of that. So I probably will ask this year to get one of those done.
Okay. All right. So, did you have any side effects, any adverse side effects? I know you gained a lot of my mind is just not my brain
A
is
lot of
not
good
saying what I
parts
want
of
to
it,
say.
right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Did I
did
have
you
any
have
bad parts?
any bad side effects when you started the Zep-Bound?
Actually, no. And I didn't. I really didn't have any negative side effects at all. My doctor had told me, like I take my shot on a Thursday evening
Uh-huh.
after dinner, and she just mentioned to me that sometimes people feel a little better if they take it after a meal and not take it on an empty stomach.
Mm-hmm.
So I take it in the evening, on Thursday evenings. But I have to say, I've had no adverse side effects from it.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I think that's great. I think that's important to let people know too, is there's a lot of people that just have had no side effects on these medications. And I think we don't hear that often enough. I'm the first to say, oh yeah, I'm constipated. I'm, I'm this or that, but that's great that you have had no side effects.
yeah,
So that's great.
the little bit of constipation or change. I have to say, not really so much even constipation as much as a bit of a change in that.
Yeah.
Even after I had to deal with that after the bariatric surgery, right? With all the
Yeah.
protein that I consume, I had to always take that consideration. And my philosophy has always been, I have my cup of coffee in the morning. So
Yeah.
a cup of caffeine, that tends to help me personally.
Get everything moving.
Get everything moving.
Yeah.
And I find that if I eat at least one bowl of oatmeal a week, or have a couple of prunes, it's like, that's all it takes. It's just
Yeah.
enough. Because like in the bariatric world too, a lot of people are like, it's protein, protein, protein.
Mm.
Um, and again, like when you say people report, like I'm in a number of groups online. You hear huge negative, 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 negative. This is
Yeah.
horrible. I have this, this, this. And I think it's because they happen to just vocalize it more than people
Right.
saying that they're not having a problem.
Yeah.
Right. And when
Right.
people say that, I'll put in the chat sometimes, eat a bowl of oatmeal, eat the oatmeal. Those carbs in the oatmeal are not going to be are not going to
Yeah.
trigger you off to.
Yeah. The fiber, I think, is helpful for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some things that you eat. What's a typical day look like of eating for you?
Well, trying to get in, I really try very hard to get in 100 to 120 grams of protein a day. 100, I'm happy if I hit the 100.
Yeah.
So for me, when I get up in the morning, I have a cup of coffee and I put in a scoop of collagen peptides, which has 10 grams of protein. So, and a little bit of cream. And we're starting off the day with a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And then normally what I'll do is I will make myself a shake.
Mm-hmm.
I got around out the door. I keep my Premier Protein shakes in the closet, so it's good to grab. That's 30 grams of protein, and out I go.
Yeah.
But if I can make it myself, I usually use almond milk. I know some people may not do this. My daughter raises chickens. I put a raw egg in. I've never had an issue having a raw egg. So one egg goes in, scoop of protein powder. I put a scoop of raw fiber in. I buy powdered raw fiber or organic raw fiber that goes in. Sometimes I'll put some fruit in, frozen fruits. I'll put half a banana in.
Yeah.
And I find personally, I digest the protein much better if I have some fat. So I put in a half a tablespoon of coconut oil goes in my shake. And I just started putting in, because of the weightlifting I'm doing, I put in 3 grams of creatine in my shake.
Okay.
Throw in some chia seeds. So normally my shake in the morning is usually between 40 and 45 grams of protein in that shake. And I have a 40-minute ride to work, so I will drink it on my way in.
Oh, well, that works.
Yeah.
That works.
And then lunch for me, because I do embrace, just like I embrace the restriction from my bariatric surgery, and I don't complain about it. And it's a godsend. It's a great gift to have.
Yeah.
I also don't bemoan most days. I really couldn't care less a lot of the time what I eat. When I sit down to eat, I do enjoy my meal, but my husband will say, "Oh, where do you want to go to dinner?" I'm like, I don't really care. It really doesn't matter. I'll find something to eat and we'll eat. But I embrace that. I don't consider that a negative. I have, at this point in my life now, I feel so free from the constraints and the restrictions of food. For me personally, no food is off limits, is not 100% off limits, even after my bariatric surgery.
Yeah.
But it is such a freedom that if I want a cookie, I can sit down and eat 2 cookies and I'm done.
Right.
Right.
You don't have that compulsion to eat the whole bag.
Cookies, right?
Yeah.
If I go out with my husband and I want a slice of pizza, I'm not getting in more than not even a full slice of pizza.
Yeah.
So I'm going to enjoy the pizza, right? But focus first on
Yeah.
the protein. So I think because food doesn't have that, like I don't crave stuff any longer. It
Right.
makes the choice of, okay, I'm going to have the shake on the way into work, then stopping at the deli and getting the egg and cheese on a hard roll a lot easier to do because I couldn't really care much less about the sandwich at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I get what you're saying. Like, the food noise is gone, so you don't have the drive to go seek those things out anymore. And you can stop at 2 cookies, and that's fine. And I feel like that a lot too. Like, I don't really care what I'm going to eat sometimes. Like, where you want to go to eat, I don't care anywhere. I'll find something. But then once I start to eat, I enjoy it. Like, I think that, oh, I don't want to eat, and it's but then when I start eating, I do enjoy my food. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm that way exactly. My husband and I went out
Yeah.
to dinner Friday night. We were going to go to dinner in a movie, went to a little place, and they make really good sliders, and it's on the appetizer list, and they give you 2 sliders.
Yeah.
And one goes home with me. But it's like this little burger, and it was really, really good, and I enjoyed it, and it was great. And I always, if my husband has fries, then because I only eat like 4 fries,
Yeah.
so I don't order fries. I have a couple fries, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to say, oh, I really shouldn't have any fries, because that's just a whole nother kind of captivity. It's like
Right.
I don't want to live there either.
Yeah.
But I have to say that having the GLP-1 and the GIP, the Zep-Bound on board makes making better choices so much easier.
So much easier. Yeah, for sure. You talked about Weight Watchers earlier. Do you track your food now, or no? You just kind of.
I do track because I'm like so protein focused.
Okay.
And I actually think because I don't have such an appetite, I'm actually, which I never thought I would ever say this in my life, but I'm actually needing to push myself to eat more food
To eat
because
enough.
I can still hit my protein and be at like 1,200 calories. And
Yeah.
1,200, I think, is actually a little low for me. I probably should be
Yeah.
higher.
Yeah. I would say at 5'10", and with the exercise,
I should be around 1,800 probably.
yeah.
In that range.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if I don't necessarily always see the loss is because, and I don't purposely calorie restrict. It's just that even if I have a treat or something else, it's not much anymore.
Yeah. I have that problem sometimes too. Because I don't think about eating, I'm not eating. You know what I mean? So I get to the end of the day, like we got to dinner tonight, and I was suddenly hungry. I said, oh, you know what? I ate like half of my lean cuisine at lunch because I decided I didn't like it, and that's all I ate. So I have to really like remember to get that protein in: breakfast, lunch, dinner, maybe a shake or a snack or something to supplement. I just don't think about it. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. And the thing is that a lot of my high protein sources are not necessarily all that high in calories, right?
Oh,
So even
yeah.
if I push and have another, if I have another yogurt, like I buy Ratio makes a 25 grams of protein yogurt that I like. Some of them have a funny taste. I don't always like them.
Yeah.
So even picking things that are higher in protein, a lot of them, they're really not that high in calories.
Yeah.
So you're not getting those. But like Saturday, I went to the grocery store and one of my favorite ice creams was on sale, which doesn't go on sale very frequently. And I bought, they're a type of ice cream sandwich. And I bought 2 boxes of them and put them in the freezer. And it's now Monday night and I haven't had one yet.
Did you remember? Like, I forget. Like, if I buy something like that, I'll put it in the freezer in the pantry, and then I'll forget about it, and then I'll I'm like, oh, I forgot I bought that.
Yeah, I do that also.
Where before I always had a running commentary in my head of every item that was in the pantry, refrigerator, and freezer. Like I knew them all the time, and my brain was always going through them, saying, "Oh, what can we eat next?" And then to forget that they were there, and then see it. That your ice cream sandwich. Did you ever eat those Skinny Cow ice cream sandwiches?
Yes, years ago, yes.
Yeah, I love those. I haven't had those in a long time.
But
Maybe
now I don't know if you have them down are you in North Carolina or South Carolina?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. I don't know if you have them, but up here in New York, we have an ice cream sandwich company called Fat Boy.
Oh yeah, I have seen those.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
they're just wonderful. So my feeling is that if I heard Christopher say the other day, if he's going to have the ice cream, he's going to have the Ben and Jerry's, right?
Right.
If I'm going to have an ice cream sandwich, I'm going to have, I'm going to have a good one. Like
Yeah.
it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
But I did think of it last night. I'm like, wow, I bought those, grocery shopping on Saturday, and I haven't opened up either of the boxes to have one yet.
Yeah.
And that's freedom.
Yeah.
Personally, to me, that's freedom.
We have some friends that are very fit and very active, and they have two girls, and we go over to their house and hang out sometimes, and they always have multiple cartons of ice cream in their freezer. So when you go in the freezer to get ice for your drink, you'll see like 6 or 8 cartons of ice cream. And I could never understand how somebody could keep that much ice cream in their house all the time and not be constantly eating it. And so I guess this is how, others feel that, don't have the disease of obesity. So,
Yeah. And
really
my husband doesn't. My husband has been a truck driver all of his life. He's 6'2". When I met him, actually, he was like 165 pounds.
Oh, wow.
I have chubbed him up a little bit. He's around 195 now, which is where he needs to be at 6'2". So he's actually healthier now. But also having him be a truck driver over the road all of his life, my husband has the palate of a 7-year-old. So, it's
he has every food option as he passes by, any time of the day or night.
Food, all of those things are what he likes. And so I came to the realization, like I said, I was widowed for 14 years before I met him. So basically what came in and out of my house is what I wanted, right? So I had to come to terms with that too, is that he likes certain things. So I need to have those things in the house for him. I can't expect him to eat like me. And with my Hashimoto's, I also try to, have as little gluten as possible. I keep that pretty much out of my diet. So that's a lot of change for a man who,
Well, I guess he's got the metabolism that can handle it. Where
but he's of the type. He's not like us with the disease of obesity. He couldn't care less about things. He can have snacks in the closet, and they could be there. He's lactose intolerant. I buy him the lactate ice cream. He can have a pint. He can have a quart in the freezer. Sometimes I have to throw it away because it gets freezer burn before he'll eat it. So, that's never been my issue of having a freezer burn ice cream in the freezer.
Yeah, not till now. Well, awesome. Let's see. Have you gone through your wardrobe? Have you purged?
Well, yes, I had. And what's interesting is that I had purged 10 years ago. And I had bought all kinds of new work clothes and new clothes and all kinds of things, which progressively ended up going into the back of the closet because I refused to get rid of those because I was going to get back into them, right? That was never my case in my entire life of ever borrowing anyone's clothes. I had to wear what I wore, and that was that. So when I lost it the first time, yes, everything went. I said, I am not getting back into these clothes. And so it was very painful for me to have to start buying bigger clothes, actually, at times, because I did not keep the bigger ones. Yeah. But I did, because out of necessity, I did. And so when I lost weight after the bariatric surgery, I was shopping in my own closet.
That's the best.
Things that were really lovely, great things that I just didn't want to get rid of. So that was kind of fun. I didn't buy anything for quite a while. But yes, then my size 18 jeans, they went. Then my 16s, they went. So yes, I did. I am a firm believer that if you can't fit in them anymore, unless you want to hold it up for an example, it doesn't
Yeah.
need to be with you.
Yeah.
Um, my husband's aunt, actually, I had bought some pants over the winter that are now, they're too big for me. But thankfully she's a lovely seamstress. So I took them down to her and she took them in for me. So we made accommodations so I can keep them because I like them. I didn't want to get rid of them.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm definitely, if it doesn't fit anymore, it needs to go because it can be so easy to slide back into them, right?
Yeah, I need to do another purge in my closet. That's great you have a seamstress in the family that that would
Yes.
come in handy.
The things that were worth it, like things that are really worth it, I ask her to fix them for me.
Yeah.
And she's great about, at fixing them. And when I went through it the first time, I had a lovely seamstress who finally said to me at one point, after she took my pants in like 4 times, she's like, I can't do these anymore. There's no more for you to adjust. You have to just go buy some new things.
Yeah. Can only take them in so much before it's just looking weird.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. What do you think about maintenance? Do you see yourself do you have a range that you want to maintain? Do you have a number you want to get to? Or I know you talked about strength, and then to go with that, do you think you'll still take your shot every week, or what's your plan for going
Well, my
forward with
my
that?
plan is that, like I said, we'll see how far I go to where I feel my face looks good or my
Yeah,
neck and things like that.
yeah,
So my guess is that my range will probably settle out somewhere between 175 and 185, right? This
hmm
10 pounds of um, range, because I've always had an issue with swelling and venous insufficiency in my legs and my feet. So me water gain, I can hop on the scale one day and be 5 or 6 pounds up because of
yeah,
what I've eaten or what have you. And then 2 days
yeah,
later, it's gone. So I find I cannot be too restrictive of only a couple of pounds because I think that won't be the best for me.
yeah, right,
Um, and then as far as taking, I do understand, and actually this has also been extremely freeing. Obesity is a disease. It is a
yes,
chronic disease that needs to be managed. And I intend to use every tool in the toolbox that I have, can have access to. And over time, who knows, it may turn out to end up being an oral GLP at some point. But I don't plan on going off my medication because in addition to keeping the food noise, because I do notice by the end of the week, I take my shot on Thursday. I do notice that by Tuesday, Wednesday, it's not that it's terrible, but I do notice it's not the same as over the weekend.
yeah, same. Hmm.
So I probably will always, my plan at this point is to stay on it long term.
Yeah,
But I do believe as the science starts to unfold and the different things I've been learning about, they are going to find benefits in this peptide that are going to change people's lives for all kinds of
all kinds of things. Hmm.
autoimmune diseases and inflammatory diseases, and all those things that,
Yeah,
we're on the early train, right? So it's like
yeah,
I'm gonna stay on that, and I'm hoping to see even more as a year or two goes by. I'm trying to keep very close attention to also how I feel and my joints and my body as far as those other things go
yeah.
as well.
Yeah, we report on the Downsized News that we report on every week. We new things coming, new things in the pipeline, new maybe oral medications coming at some point. So, yeah, I plan on taking my shot every week, and I hope the price comes down at some point as other medications come on the market. I hope the competition drives the price down. And then hopefully more insurance companies will cover it as we learn it's good for sleep apnea and cardiac disease and liver, I think was it
And the
liver,
kidney,
fatty liver? Mm-hmm.
when I heard from a couple of different sources where they said when they were running the trial with the kidney patients about reversing kidney disease and treating kidney disease, that they had to stop it early because they felt it was unethical not to have the other patients be able to take it.
Oh wow. The
There was
control.
such an the control group. that they felt
Yeah.
it wasn't ethically responsible for them to not have the opportunity because of the vast improvement that these kidney patients were having. When I heard
Wow.
that, I was like, that's like amazing.
Does that ever happen? That seems very rare if ever if something like that would happen. That just shows you how powerful they were, right? So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
what they're doing with the anti-inflammatory problem in the cardiovascular. I think I've heard a couple people also talking about the studies with the cardio patients, and they're saying, oh, well, was it just the weight loss or was it the weight loss and the GLP? And they were finding markers in their reports and all these other things that were showing their reduced risk of cardiovascular events were their numbers were changing, but their weight hadn't changed that much.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah.
So it's exciting. I think these medications are going to be the best thing since penicillin.
Yeah, I
I mean,
agree.
really.
I absolutely agree. And I like what you said, and I think it's important for people to hear, so I'll say it again. Obesity is a disease. It's a chronic disease recognized by the American Medical Association, and these GLP-1s are tools in the treatment of obesity, right? So we have the tools, why not use them? And just like any tool, if you stop using it, you stop reaping the benefits. You
Yeah.
lose the
And if people
effects of
have
it.
other diseases, you're not going to tell somebody with cardiovascular disease to just buck it up and
Right.
not take their cardiac medication, or if they have lupus, or if they have all kinds of other things. If it's chronic,
Diabetes. Yeah.
yeah, and you know that you're going to take your medication, right, as directed,
Yeah.
because you see the benefits outweigh you not taking it. So
Right.
this is the first time in our lives that there has ever been a medication that appears to be working so quickly,
Yeah.
so thoroughly, with, so few side effects that they're showing.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that they like to put out there to make people be fearful are some conditions that people with diabetes and people who have morbid obesity are more likely to suffer from anyway,
Yeah.
even
Right.
without.
The risks of being overweight outweigh, some other risks of being on the GLP-1 medication. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you have any tips or anything you want to tell people about that are thinking about starting a GLP-1 medication?
I think, and even maybe this is also part of my bariatric experience as well.
Mm-hmm.
Be patient, trust the process, trust your doctor, trust your plan,
Mm-hmm.
and you're a unique individual. We can't compare ourselves to other people. We all have other things going on. We're individual people.
Yeah.
But I think the GLP gives us a tool to be able to do the things we know we need to do. Where in the past, all the other aspects, the food noise, all the other pieces of our chronic obesity were handicapped us from being able to make the good, right choices
I agree.
for the long
Yeah.
haul.
I agree. It's much
Uh,
easier to make better choices now than it has been at any other point in my life.
yeah. And we have to be patient because this is the rest of your life,
Right. Right.
right? It's not like, oh, I want this by June or I want this by Christmas.
Right.
This is for the rest of our lives. And another thing I would recommend people do is get as much education as they possibly can.
Yes. Yes.
And go with that. And I know people who've been on GLPs who were morbidly obese who used them to start their process before they were going to get to surgery because it
Oh,
was necessary
really?
to use them to lose enough weight to get them in a safe realm to be able to have their surgery.
Yeah.
And um and then some of them have picked them back up after a time.
Yeah.
So it's another tool
Yeah.
in the toolbox,
Another
right?
tool in the toolbox, right? And these new medications that are being developed, a couple of them are we've reported on the news that they're just so powerful that it might only be a drug for someone who is 600 pounds plus, like really at the higher end of the chart, right? So hopefully, there's going to be things coming out for people of all ages and ranges of weight, and we can get really personalized with what we need, with what's best for us. So,
and I think that's it. I think they're going to have to develop into a realm, and I think they will, as doctors educate themselves and people educate themselves, that it needs to be a very personalized dose.
yeah. Yeah,
I'm
I
at
agree.
10 now. I may stay there a while. I may never climb higher than that. I may
Yeah,
go down.
right.
But I've also heard about some of these other medications with such higher doses. But there's probably a population out there who need that.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think you have to find the dose that works best for you. And the dose that works best for you for weight loss may not be the dose that works best for you for maintenance. Yeah, maybe you stay on the low dose. We've seen people lose 50 pounds on 2.5 milligrams. We've seen people not lose anything until they get to the higher doses. So it's just very different from person to person. So, I think that's important for people to know. So, yeah.
And I would also think, and as my journey continues, maybe I would go, 10 days or 2 weeks, but that would have to be something you'd have to try it.
Right.
After you've been in maintenance for a while and see how you feel. I think also people need to, they need to really tune in to their bodies and how their bodies and their minds are feeling and functioning, whether they start journaling about it, whether they track, whether they need to see the progress. They need, like, you have your spreadsheets, and I'm sure that's very encouraging and very helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And be in tune. Is your pain diminishing? Do you feel like walking? Do you feel like doing something else?
Yeah.
Mark the times. Hey, that ice cream stayed in there for 4 days before I wanted it. All
Yeah,
those
those are
kinds of things.
all successes, right? Those are all successes on your journey. So, and it's important, I think, to go back and, give yourself credit for some of those things. And, um, I like to look back at my chart. What you mentioned, it's a journey and it's the rest of your life. And I think people get really caught up in how fast can I lose weight? You know what I mean? So, I think people need to know 1 to 2 pounds a week. And, if you're,
Yeah.
and right
And
now,
honestly, fast is not, I look at you, you're a little bit younger than I am, Laraine, and your skin looks lovely.
thank
And,
you.
I look at myself, people look at me, and I think one of the reasons why my skin and my face, because people will comment on it a lot, and I'll tell them how old I am, and they usually don't believe how old I am. And that's been that way for quite a while.
Yeah.
But I can contribute that to being a slow loser. I've always been a slow loser. So I don't think losing fast is good in any way. Honestly, I know we want fast. We like, instant stuff. We want to see we want to see it quickly. But I have to say, over my years of doing this whole thing, sure, is there parts of me that I don't want to put out in public? Well, yeah, and we don't need to. And but like the place that it counts for me personally is my face is out there all the time, right? That's what people see all the time.
Yeah.
And I've seen people who've lost weight extremely fast, and it doesn't look good. Yes, they're healthier, and I'm very thankful for that. That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
But I would rather lose it slower and maintain my muscle as best I can and maintain my skin integrity as best as I can. And that skin is all over the place, whether it's your arms, your chest, your face,
Yeah. Your skin, losing slowly helps your skin
adapt,
retract. Yeah. As much as it can. I definitely have parts that it's not going to retract anymore. And that's okay. Right. So, nobody has to see those parts if I don't want to let them see those parts.
I know. I said, basically thank the Lord I live in an area where, 75% of the time I'm completely fully clothed. So
No moving to Florida in your future? Don't all New Yorkers move to Florida at some point?
Well, we are planning on moving down south, probably not Florida, but I always
Yeah.
kid around like my arms. It's like that's I look for sleeves that are a little bit longer. I mean, I will wear things because I'm to the point in my life I don't really give a who what anybody
Right.
else thinks.
Right.
But we always, my friends and I, we would laugh at church. Like when I'm in church, it's like there's never any halfway up with the hands. It's either they're going all the way up or they're staying all the way down because we're not going to have that mid range,
Don't
in
want
the
to
middle
get
of a
everything
worship service.
flapping. Yeah.
Yeah,
Get a
isn't
lot of
happening.
arms
But
waving in the breeze. Yeah.
but
That's
then there's a
funny.
part of me that also looks back that some of this that has gone on that I don't like. I mean, I do attribute it to, I'm like, there was times that you haven't taken the best care of yourself. You haven't.
Yeah.
So, part of it is my responsibility, of course. And
Yeah.
and that's all of that. So sometimes you got to take the scars with the victories, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's never too late to get some skincare, exfoliate, moisturize, eye cream. I've been doing those things too forever. So,
Yeah. I
it's
just bought my first retinol products this past week or so.
yeah,
And
yeah,
the vitamin C serum, so yeah, I hear
yeah.
you.
Well, and I never, as a child, I had terrible acne, and my mother would take my sister and I to the dermatologist all the time, and so I guess I just got it in my head that the dermatologist was for acne. And then a couple months ago, I said, "Well, why don't I go to the dermatologist and ask her about maybe this line or this weird spot or this or that?" And so I did, and she lasered off a spot from my lip that was precancerous, and she gave me Retin A to put on, and it wasn't that expensive. Like, I'm like, why didn't I do this a long time ago?
Mhm.
I think I just shy away from going to the doctor, right? Because it's expensive, and I don't want to, and it takes time out of your day. But yeah, go to the dermatologist. Maybe they can, give you
Yeah.
something that'll be better than anything you could buy at the store. So it's my
Well,
advice.
that's one of the things with the collagen, the collagen peptides. I've been doing that now almost 3 years.
Yeah,
Religiously. Every morning it's in my coffee. I also find that the collagen peptides help with the inflammation. That is, my inflammation markers for my Hashimoto's. When I went gluten-free and incorporated the collagen and made some other changes like household exposure and
yeah,
perfumes, deodorant and such,
yeah.
I reduced in a matter of 3 months, I reduced my inflammation markers by 45%.
Wow.
So yeah, it was so I'm a big collagen gal.
Yeah.
I'm not loyal to one particular brand, but I don't drink a cup of coffee in the morning without it. So
So when you put it in, it's powder and it dissolves. I always have
it's
trouble getting it to
completely
dissolve all the way.
completely dissolves
Okay.
immediately as soon as I pour it in. You can't taste it, you can't see it. And then
Okay.
after the surgery, when I realized it had 10 grams of protein in it, I'm like, well, there's a start.
Bonus.
There's a bonus on
Yeah,
that.
and there's something about the protein that's in the collagen powder isn't the same as the protein that's in like a straight protein powder. So you kind of need
Yeah, it's not the
both.
same, so I don't
Right?
ever use more than one scoop in a day.
Yeah.
But I do know that once we're over 40 years old, we lose a lot of collagen.
Yeah.
So it's just added that it does have some protein, it has a little bit of protein in it. It is different.
Right. Maybe it's not a
Um,
complete protein, or I forget what the
yeah,
actual.
it's a little different, but
Yeah.
I add it, I count it toward my
Yeah.
protein in the day. But
Yeah.
I think it's also really collagen peptides are also really good for gut health. Just like we're learning these peptides, they're just really good. But I did notice, you know, starting that, most of my digestive issues that I struggled with are completely resolved.
I definitely need to start putting the collagen in my coffee. I
Yeah,
think I
and
even
I'm
have
on a
some. I just,
probiotic. Like I take a good probiotic every day, and
yeah,
so some of these recommendations. I mean, I'm being a bariatric patient. I'm on a regime of. It's not overly cumbersome, but I'm on very specific vitamins that I will take for the rest of my life,
right.
every day. So I have myself kind of in a routine on that, on how to take
Yeah,
what.
I've talked to several bariatric patients who have gone to GLP-1s after their bariatric surgery. And the vitamins are, I guess your body doesn't absorb them the way you did pre-surgery. So you have to take higher doses and such like that.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just, just part of the whole thing, I guess. Right.
Yes. So but thankfully it's not, I don't find it cumbersome.
Yeah.
I don't find it overly like I can't deal with it. I take some at bedtime. I take a couple things when I first get up in the morning. Take something with breakfast or my lunch, and done is done. I just make sure I have it with me.
You got it down. Well, you're doing great. Well, thank you so much for coming on the Downsized Dish today, Karen. Yeah, you're welcome. If anyone out there would like to be on the Downsized Dish, you can send me an email to Laraine@thedownsized.org. We'll have just a conversation about you and your journey, and then we can share it with everyone out here on the Downsized. Join us for the Downsized Live most Wednesdays. It'll be this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And join us for that. I was waiting for him to go to the next one. You can check out our website at thedownsized.org. We've got a lot of things on there. We've got an email list, and we've got links to an Amazon store. We're Amazon affiliates. We make a small commission. I've got some products on there that I like that I've used on this journey. And please like and subscribe. I guess that's all I've got. But thanks again, Karen. It's been great talking with you, and you'll have to keep us posted on your muscle journey. Journey to build muscle by age 60. I love that.
Yes.
But yeah, please like and subscribe. And that's it. I'm Laraine Durham for The Downsized. See you next time.